Okay, so I'm going to try and record a really quick movie to show you guys some of the ways that you can use Pages more effectively, and also a little bit of troubleshooting to help you with some of the more common issues that I've been seeing. I'm going to talk really fast, so try and keep up. So first, I have a blank Pages document open, and you can tell that it's brand new because it doesn't even have a title yet. First thing I want to do is give it a title, and I can do that by clicking the little arrow next to the title up at the top, and I can type in whatever title I want, and I'm going to make a cupcake poster, so I'll type cupcake poster. I can also change the save location, and I'm going to save mine to my desktop. That's probably easiest for a lot of you guys, so I'll choose desktop, and you can see right there, it pops up right away. Now, the next thing I'm going to want to do is go to Document. I've got two menus over here. I've got a Format menu and a Document menu. When you click over to the Document menu, that's really just for stuff like changing the page size and other things that change like the document itself. I'm going to choose Tabloid for my page size, which is really the 11 by 17 size paper that we're using for a lot of our posters. On some people's computers, this page size is called Ledger instead of Tabloid, and I'm not really sure why, but that doesn't matter. It's 11 by 17, which is what we want. I can also do things here like remove the header and the footer, which is just that box at the top of the page that you can type like page numbers in. So I'm just going to remove header and footer because we don't need it. Then I'm going to click back to the Format menu, which is where all of our main stuff we're going to do is going to happen. The first thing that I'm going to do is show you guys how to get clip art from the internet. I'm going to save my work because you should always do that. So if you go over to Google, I'm going to look for a picture of a cupcake. So I'm going to type in cupcake clip art. And I'm going to steer clear of cupcakes that look pixelated already, like that one already looks sort of blurry, or cupcakes that have textured backgrounds like that. Like you can see how that background kind of has stuff on it. That would be really hard to remove. I'm going to avoid pictures that have like watermarks on them that say Shutterstock and stuff like that. I'm going to pick this cupcake. No, I'm going to pick this cupcake. Yeah. Oh, so this is an interesting cupcake because it may or may not already have the background deleted, but we're going to see. I'm going to drag this cupcake to my desktop, and I'm going to show you what it looks like when instead of opening the bigger version of the image, you instead just drag it directly from the thumbnail. So if I just drag it directly from the thumbnail and I open that image, it is much, much, much smaller than it should be, and it's also really blurry and pixelated. That's because I dragged it from the thumbnail. When I open up the version that I dragged from here, like the bigger version of the picture, you can see that it's nice and crisp. It's not blurry at all. It's much, much bigger. If I were even to make the picture that I dragged from the teeny tiny version as big as I wanted it to actually be, you can see it's really blurry because when you drag it from the thumbnail, you're just dragging a really tiny version. You're not dragging the full size version of the picture. So don't do that. So our next thing we're going to do is get rid of our teeny tiny one, which is this one, and drag it to the trash can. And we will keep that right there to use later. The next thing I'm going to show you is a little bit of the different menus that you can find in Pages. So the first menu that'll probably automatically be there when you open a Pages document is this text menu. And that's really for if I wanted to type text on the back of the page, like directly on the page. I'm not going to do that a whole lot because it's a poster and it's easier to do things like text boxes, which I'll show you in a minute. But just so you can see what to do, when you type text, you can do things like change the size of the text. You can also like type in a size directly if you want it to make big changes. You can change the font if you want to, and I can show you how to download new cool fonts if you want. You can make it bold or italic or underline or whatever. Some fonts don't have an italic option. And you can also change the color. You can change the alignment, like you could center it, make it towards the left, towards the right, whatever you want. You can change a lot of things here. I'm not really going to do any of that because I am going to use text boxes for my poster, so I'm just going to delete that. The next thing I want to show you is setting up a background. So the easiest way that I found to set up a background on Pages, and I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you can see, is to go to the shape menu, and there's lots of different shapes here, but I'm going to use a square. And once I get my square in there, I'm going to drag it to fit the size of the entire page. Oh, and what's that? Another page popped up. I don't want that there. What's going on? I'll tell you. It's because I didn't format the shape. For every single thing you ever drag into your Pages document, and also Microsoft Word, you always have to format the images, the shapes, whatever you drag in. So for every single object, I'm going to go to the Arrange menu, and I'm going to make sure that for object placement, that Stay on Page is selected, and that for text wrap, I'm going to change it from automatic to none. And you can see already that the other page goes away. So now I can do all kinds of crazy things by going back to the Style menu. I can change the color of my background and make sure that the fill option menu is open by clicking that triangle. I can do gradient fill. I can also, like, there's some preset gradient fills in that color menu. If I want to get really crazy, I can change the colors in my gradient and I can make it really custom. If I want to get even more custom, I can open up the color wheels and do all sorts of crazy colors there. I can change the angle of the gradient, so like a sideways gradient instead of up and down, or diagonal gradient, whatever I want. I can also change the opacity or opacity, I don't know how you say that word, but that basically just means like making the image more or less transparent. So now that I have my background the way I want it, I can start to drag in pictures, right? Not right. If I drag in a picture without locking the background, my background will go away. It'll disappear. And I don't want that. So I'm going to click undo, because it's very easy to undo things that are mistakes on here. And before I drag in anything, once I'm happy with the way that my background looks, I'm going to go back to Arrange and I'm going to click Lock. And that way, when I drag in images, my background stays put where it is. And just like I'm supposed to, for everything that I put in here, I'm going to do Stay on Page and Text Wrap None. And I'll show you what it looks like if I did not do that. If I did not do Text Wrap None and I left it as automatic, when I make a text box, if I also were to leave that the way that it is, and I'll just say like cupcake poster for my text box. And I'll make it font size 30, and I'll use this fancy font that I downloaded, and I'll make it blue. Actually, I'll do font size 50. And this little box popped up because my text won't fit in the box. And you can see that if I don't do Text Wrap None, the images, like the things will start interacting. So like I'll drag in a new shape, and like, oh, you can see that I already did it. The reason that they are interacting now, and we don't want them to interact, is because they're not formatted. So I could put things pretty much wherever I want, so long as I do Stay on Page and Text Wrap None. Stay on Page and Text Wrap None for every single object. Now, the last thing I want to show you really quickly is what if I change my mind and I want to do a totally different background. Like, let's say I want to do a cupcake background. Like, I want to find a picture online, and I want that to be my background. And let's say I really, really, really like this one. That one's a little small. Let's pick a different one. If I'm getting a lot of pictures that look small and I want to make sure I don't, I can always go to Tools in Google Image Search and Size and select Large, so that Google Images will only show me large images, which is kind of a cool function. And then maybe I'll pick, I don't know, this one. Sure, I'll make this one my background. I'll wait for it to fully load. This little bar at the bottom is moving because it's still loading. It's a high quality picture. Now that it's fully loaded, I will drag it to my desktop, and then I'll drag it into my document. And I'll make it the size that I want for my background. I can also like change the angle. So if I wanted it to be vertical instead, that's 90 degrees. So I can do it like that. And I can make it fit the size. And then remember, another page popped up because I haven't formatted it yet. So I'll do Text Wrap None. But now it's covering up all the stuff that I had there before. That's really easy to fix. All I have to do is hold down the Control button and click on the background, and then click Send to Back. And you can actually do that with any object. And it didn't disappear just then. It didn't get deleted. It just went behind my old background, which I can now delete. So I'll click on my old background, I'll press Unlock, and I'll press Delete. And now I have my new kind of crazy background. It's probably really wouldn't be a good option for my poster because it's really hard to see my text. But I can always do really fancy things to my text box, like the actual text boxes. You can give those colors too. So I could do like a white background for my text box. I could do a border for my text box if I wanted to. There's all kind of fancy borders and color options for the borders, all kind of stuff. You can really spice up your poster however you want. So that's it, and people are starting to come in for school, so I'm going to stop this video.